The government boosted its decade-long $100 billion infrastructure program in Tuesday's budget, but not by as much as many had hoped. Another $10 billion has been injected into the fund to help Australia recover from the COVID recession. No headline-grabbing project was announced, with many economists surprised social housing was left off the table. For a construction sector that's already in a downturn, there's still a lot of heavy lifting to do. Rachel Papazzoni reports.
Australia's traditional economic recovery plan in the aftermath of the World Wars was pinned to massive infrastructure projects like building Sydney's now world-famous bridge in the 1920s and the ambitious Snowy Mountains scheme which started in 1949. And infrastructure was tipped again to be the sector to help rebuild Australia out of the COVID-19 recession. The government has boosted the $100 billion over 10 years it committed last year by 10%.
There were increases, sure, and in the normal years that would be a big number, but in the current environment and given what they've done elsewhere, it was actually relatively small.
Included in the announcement, $2 billion for state and territory roads, but there's a catch.
If a state drags its feet, another state will get the money. We need works to start, not stall.
If the federal money frees up money that the states had already allocated and they're able to use it elsewhere to drive the recovery, then that can be positive as well.
But not everything is new. New England Independent MP Tony Windsor revealed the Bolivia Hill New England Highway, the first project singled out by the Treasurer in his budget speech, was funded under the Gillard government 8 years ago. While there was no headline announcement like those of economic crises past, infrastructure expert Tony Shepherd says big-ticket items don't always deliver what's needed.
The problem with big infrastructure projects is they take 2 or 3 years from when you hit the go button until you get people actually employed in the field. So it's not as instant as the government would be looking for.
In a year where hundreds of thousands of people remain without a job and hundreds of thousands more are struggling on JobKeeper payments, which are being phased out, the government has been criticised by welfare groups and economists alike for not announcing more social infrastructure.
More direct spending there, I think, would have delivered both against the objectives of getting the economy going, but also really helping to support those most in need in our community.
The government is banking on tax incentives and the $1.2 billion for 100,000 new apprenticeships and traineeships to bolster the construction industry.
Keep the young kids on, keep them coming through, because that's very important for our industry. We've got to keep those quality tradesmen.
Sydney electrician Ray Sheriff was forced to lay off about a third of his staff when COVID hit. While he will now be able to hire more junior workers, there might not be enough sustained demand to justify it.
It's starting really to slow down now. It's difficult to get projects in the door. It's 1 or 2 a month you might see coming across the price now, whereas before it was every week.
Construction has been lagging for years. The latest figures from the Australian Industry Group show new engineering orders are at the staggeringly low level of 38.6 points. Anything less than 50 means that work is shrinking. It's been below 50 almost every month since 2018.
In the construction sector in Australia, since March to August, we already lost 70,000 jobs. While most builders in Australia still had a reasonable pipeline of work in the field being constructed.
National commercial builder Badge Construction expects the worst is yet to come.
What's being reported is that there will be a contraction of about 17% in the commercial building sector in 2021 and a further contraction of 6% in 21-22. That's really significant.
Which begs the question, will Australia be able to build itself out of recession?